Hi everyone, this is Isabel, co-founder and creator of Siv, and this is the Siv Skin Microbiome Series where we highlight the important role of the skin microbiome in healing stubborn skin conditions. Today we have Elle Dieterich on the show. She has been a practicing esthetician for 5 years and she is located in Solana Beach, California. She has a special focus in healing healthy skin and women starting their wellness and healing journeys. You guys are going to love this episode with Elle. It is such an informative, amazing, inspiring episode. So without further ado, let's get into the show. Okay, and we are here with Elle. Elle, thank you so much for doing this. I'm so excited to talk with you and to go through your amazing transformation. I want to start. So how did we first start talking? Do you remember how you found Siv or anything like that?
I found, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm so excited that I'm here and we're chatting. It's funny because I saw Siv on Instagram and then I placed an order, kind of tried it out, and we started DMing. And this is our first time actually talking face to face because we kept missing each other. We saw each other in Vegas. You had your booth at the convention and we just didn't get a chance to connect. So I'm glad that we can actually talk now. But yeah, just through Instagram, other estheticians, I feel like that's where I learned most of different treatments and products. And of course I'm like, ooh, what's that? Let me order it. And I totally fell in love with Siv, not to gas you up just because we're on the phone call, but actually I was like, there's nothing really like this on the market. And it's just a nice piece and tool that I have in my practice. And I was like, yeah, this definitely aligns with me. And then we just kind of kept going back and forth DMing. And I love it.
Amazing. Yes, I think we did find each other on Instagram. I remember that show because I was like, oh my God, I missed you. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And I was like, I see you and you're talking to people. I don't want to interrupt.
Totally. No, and thank you for that endorsement because, you really impressed me, to be honest, because you have you are all business. The fact that you developed an app, you're doing the Lord's work. The amount of content you put out, the messaging that you have, it's so dialed in and on point. And so I don't know, you're just really impressive to me. I love seeing your stuff on Instagram. I love seeing everything that you're building and doing. I just feel like you are such a light and I see really big things for you. So I'm super excited to even have you on right now because I just feel like you're gonna blow up. I think your app is gonna blow up. It's just gonna be so cool. So I'm really excited.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. And so on that note, how does the skin microbiome fit into your practice? How do you think about the skin microbiome? Is it a big role in your practice? Or give me a little bit of details around that.
Yeah, I think it's a huge role in my practice and I think it should be in everyone's. How I kind of tell people how we want to nurture the skin microbiome and really nourish the skin before we add any actives. It's kind of like if you have a sunburn, you don't want to, and it leaves pigment or whatever, you don't want to start treating the pigmentation when the wound is still healing. So that's why the analogy that I I guess it's real life, not an analogy, but that's kind of to help people understand. It's yes, you might not have a sunburn on your skin, but if products are tingling, your skin is red, you have just weird acne and your skin's cracking. To me, it's that's damaged skin that needs to be repaired before we actually look at treating the acne. And so like I was saying before, I just love that that Siv, your product, is kind of like a fire hydrant for the skin. It's my SOS product. When people come in from the dermatologist and they've completely burnt their skin, literally like a sunburn, and it's their skin can't handle anything, I'm here's Siv for a couple days. Or people with dermatitis, just kind of the skin conditions that throw estheticians through a loop. I'm when in doubt, Siv, And so that's something that's really important to me is skin health over anything before we go in with actives. And honestly, 50% of the time when people just nurture their skin microbiome and their skin, their acne, their redness, all the concerns that they came in with are way less. And then we can just add a couple actives in to really boost results and target certain things. But it's the top priority in my business and how I treat the skin. And I try and educate people on that because I didn't learn that in school, for years. Even when I was an esthetician, I was more salicylic acid, and the minute I kind of started, I don't even know what light bulb went off in my head where I was like, we need to just focus on the health and like balance the water and the oil and like rebuild it and nurture the skin like the organ it is. That's kind of where I started seeing a shift in results and in my own skin as well, kind of rewiring what we've learned in esthetician school and kind of going against the grain.
Yeah. And I see that in your content all the time. Like I could do a whole other episode with you just based on like your content and how you're focusing so holistically and how you're saying the things that other people don't want to say. And you say it proudly and loudly. And I respect that so much. And I think you were actually the first one who said that Siv was good for perioral derm.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Because I remember you saying that and I was like, oh, I wasn't even super like familiar what that was. I think perioral dermatitis is something that we just started seeing so much of around like COVID, and it was getting misdiagnosed a lot as like acne and like and things like that. And I think you were one of the first ones, honestly, to be like, this is my perioral derm killer. Like, yeah, because it works so well for that. Like you said, these mystery conditions that have been really tricky to treat. And it goes back to that whole thing of like leaky skin, right? When like, you know, when you're using barrier focused products, traditional products, if the real driver is the microbes, it's really hard for those products to even make a dent or kind of reach their full potential. And so staying on those with then adding Siv into that routine, it sets that foundation so then everything can work better. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's awesome. Okay, well, and speaking of, you know, how the microbiome fits in your practice and how Siv is helping, we have an amazing before and after that I would love to go over with you and get your take on. Wow. Okay, that is amazing. So you can see, obviously, redness is gone. Her skin looks glowy and healthy, repaired. I mean, it looks incredible. So please walk us through if somebody watching is either experiencing something like this before, or an esthetician is watching and saying, oh my God, my client's skin looks like this. How in the world did you achieve this in 8 weeks? Give us all the details, starting with some background on this client. So how long was she a client? Any information you can share around her age or things like that would be helpful.
Yeah, so this guest, actually, I've been seeing her for probably 2 years-ish. I met her at one of my old jobs before starting my business, and then she comes in here. She's in her like late 30s, and she does a lot of hot yoga, and she was like not down to give it up, which, I mean, don't give up things that make you happy. She was like, I'm just gonna have the redness around. And we kind of saw she was using some different products here and there. And one day, like when I saw this photo, or when I was looking at this one, I was like, are you out of your products yet? Like, can I try something really quick? Let's just do like a science experiment. And so because she was getting monthly facials, we were doing the glacial, bringing down the inflammation, and it would look really good. And then kind of right before she would get her facial from me, it started to look like the photo on the left. And so she was open to trying some products. We literally just did a like creamy cleanser to, again, not disrupt the microbiome, but to help cleanse the skin. And then also we have one Environ product, which I love them as well because there's a lot of science back behind them, and they are really focused on like nurturing the skin, healing it, all about the microbiome as well, and just like treating the skin from a less aggressive approach. So she was using the antioxidant gel from Environ prior. So she was already using that one. And these results came from when we just added Siv. Like literally that's it. That's her whole routine, is like very, very simple because her skin doesn't really do well with a lot anyway. And then she's doing also a sulfur mask, like once or twice a week, or mixing it in with her cleanser. But she basically said like, I can't live without the Siv, because she was kind of doing the sulfur, kind of doing the Environ. But when we added the Siv, like I just said, that's where these results came in, where I was like, oh my God, you can't live without that now. And she's like, yeah, I know.
Oh my God, that is amazing. Yeah, I'm so happy that you brought up, these other products that you were using, because like we were saying, Siv really, it's not targeted towards any one specific thing. It's really targeted towards laying a foundation, making your skin healthier, helping to repair the skin. Mm-hmm. And then these barrier focused products, they're all designed fabulously. Like when I was going into this space, I knew I had to do something so different to stand out because there's so many amazing products and devices out there. And I know you're also a big advocate of Glacial. Tell us a little bit about how like Glacial worked here. So give everyone a little background if they've never heard of Glacial.
Yeah, so the Glacial is basically a controlled cooling device. So I always tell people it's like cold globes, but like on crack. It's a device that they have a full treatment where it's exfoliation. There's kind of like a little microderm tip on it, and then chemical exfoliation. So with her, we were doing just the add-on. So that treatment is longer. It's about 30 minutes with the cooling with the exfoliation. But because her barrier looked like that, I didn't think it was the right choice. So we did like custom facials of, very light exfoliation, hydrating, calming masks, and then with the 10-minute Glacial add-on. So to going back to what it does, it's basically, how the cold globes, if you have like a pimple, or even when you sprain your ankle, like you put ice on it because it reduces inflammation. So what the Glacial does is it works with the temperature in your skin, kind of reads it and knows the temperature that your skin needs in order to hit a level of reducing the inflammation. So for 10 minutes, it's controlled cooling rather than comparing it to the cold globes. They warm up after like a minute and you're kind of like, okay, that was fun. But you're getting this continuous, almost like cryotherapy effect where it's reducing the inflammation in the cells and just completely calming down the skin. And you use a mask or serum. So it's also kind of helping penetrate that deeper a little bit into the skin while pushing it into the skin. But yeah, I'm obsessed with it. It's because I don't like, there's other machines out there that it just doesn't make sense because this is mainly my clientele, like this damaged skin, acne, where something that's just a powerhouse for reducing inflammation, even like aging pigment. These are all signs of inflammation. So it's amazing for everyone. That's why I love it. It's not just like, it's not fit for you. But yeah, she's been doing it that consistently for like 6 months, every month too. And after each facial, it's been like working magic.
Amazing. Yeah. And Siv is great to use after Glacial too, especially if you are doing that exfoliation, because exfoliation really affects the microbes, So when we talk about like, over exfoliating or stripping the skin, that is very connected to having this lack of microbes that then triggers the immune system. And to me, this looks like, reactive, immune active skin. And what happens there is when there's dysbiosis in the microbes start to respond to everything in their environment because they're like, okay, I don't know what's a true threat versus what is just benign stimuli. So they just, to be safe, respond to everything. Well, this response then recruits the immune system. The immune system is like, okay, what's going on here? Once that immune system gets to that site, they're like, there's nothing going on here. So they just start to attack healthy cells. And so it's almost like an autoimmune issue in the skin. And so I'm so glad that you paired, Siv with these Glacial treatments because it's a really soothing, calming effect. And then any exfoliation that might be happening, Siv is going to go in there and help to replenish what was maybe lost in any of those treatments, even though it's really light exfoliation. So it's a really, really good pairing there. And again, just helps everything to kind of work better. So that is incredible. Thank you for walking us through that. What is a hot take of yours? I ask this to everybody because I love getting controversial and spicy. Yeah,
I love to as well. I feel like that's like my toxic trait where I wake up and I'm like, do I feel like fighting people on Instagram today? Let me post some of my thoughts.
You're like, let me choose violence.
Yeah, I think that I have a couple, and that we were like joking about it before. I think as I go on my own journey with acne, like I really kind of stray away from like conventional aesthetics or estheticians drilling like products or certain foods and things to avoid. And so I would say like my most controversial thing is that there's not okay, I don't know how to say this. I think there is a commonality of foods that are triggering, just like how a peanut allergy is common, something of that sort. But people that say like eggs, dairy, red meat, all these things like will cause acne. Or even my most recent one is like a couple years ago, I learned that like iodine is, too much iodine triggers your acne. And then I got labs done and my iodine levels are trash and my thyroid is not working optimally because it is essential for your thyroid to work. And so I guess my controversial take is like talking about foods and creating this fear with food when you have no idea what's going on in the human body. Like I said, yes, people might have allergies or sensitivity to eggs, but the amount of people that come through my door that are like, I don't eat eggs, I don't eat dairy, I don't eat this, I don't eat that. I'm like, wait, first of all, what do you even eat? And second of all, I can tell how stressed you are. And when they add the foods back in and heal that relationship, like their skin starts to do better, because it's like it's like a psychology thing where it's like you think you're afraid of one thing and it's a completely different thing that's happening. Like you think it's the eggs that's breaking you out, but really it's the fact that you have a panic attack every time you see an egg. Like it's your nervous system. And I keep trying to believe that food is what causes things, but like my labs say my body is like on fire. It's all stress, which depletes certain minerals. So I think that the best way to like talk about food and really take an approach holistically is like getting labs done so you know exactly what's going on. Like, okay, one last thing. Oh my God, I'm like ranting now. But one last thing is like going back to like red meat. Like I love red meat. I was eating a lot of red meat and I don't think it's bad. I think it's packed with a bunch of nutrients. I love it. But another thing my lab said was that my body was having a hard time recycling iron. So in this point in time, eating a bunch of red meat, like say if I went on a carnivore diet, I don't think that's going to go well, because that's like, breakfast, lunch, and dinner is red meat. My body, it's driving inflammation because the iron and the absorption is not going where it needs to go. It's not properly recycling. It's a lot of pressure on my liver to break down. So there's just so many things that I think that estheticians wanting to get into the wellness world, I love it. I truly think that acne and all these skin conditions are 90% a bigger issue. Like, yeah, maybe, your skin got ruined from putting tretinoin on it 3 times a day. But most of the time, if you get on a good skincare routine and, 6 months later, you're still having bloating, cramping, fatigue, like acne is just another symptom in the pot. And so I think that bringing awareness to like estheticians that do want to lean more into like the internal aspect is being like very well educated. So we don't like kind of steer people in the wrong direction. Like I just stick with really basic, like daily non-negotiables that the human body needs. But I try to avoid recommending specific foods if I don't have any testing or any insight into your body. Because I was like, I love red meat. It's so good. And my body was like, too much iron. I'm like, what? So, yeah, that's just kind of my take. I don't know what the moral of that story was, but I think just like knowing the boundary of, our field and what we're talking about and when to reach for outside help. And even me, like, I'm like, was humbled being like, I know what to eat, blah, blah. And then I got my labs. I'm like, we really just need to know what's going on in our body in order to fuel it the best. Cause I was like, I know everything. Why do I still have acne? It's whatever I think. And it was just like humbling to be like, yeah, we just should be talking about things in a general sense instead of driving this fear and like everybody is different, because it's not at all. Like we all live completely separate lives. So just being like sleep, drink water, eat whole foods, manage stress. Like those are kind of what I emphasize, but I'm like, it's up to you to listen to your body and know what's working, what's not. Like if you can't meditate, find a different way to manage your stress. Like there's not one blueprint for every human being, or else we would all be doing it. The end.
That was very well said. No, you said a lot of amazing things in that entire kind of segment, because you're right. Everybody is so individual and there's so much advice online of like, I swear if you do this, this will fix X, Y, and Z.
Oh my
that
God.
is never going to be the case for two people. Like one person responds really well to something, another person, like you said, maybe doesn't respond as well because that's not what they're missing or that's not what they need.
Exactly.
And so I think that was all very well said. And on that note, I know you have an app, a wellness app that I'm super impressed with that you developed. Tell us a little bit about that app. And we're going to link to that app also in the show notes here. So you guys should all check it out and download it because it's amazing. So give us a little synopsis on the app and what that's all about.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. So kind of going back to what I was talking about, I call them my non-negotiables, which I said was, eating 3 meals, whole foods, being intentional with it, balancing your blood sugar levels, getting enough protein, vitamins, minerals, drinking water, managing stress, sleep, daily bowel movements. So many of these women are not pooping daily. Men, our skin is a detox organ. Hello. I feel like there's and daily movement. Like that could even mean going around the block. Like I'm not saying you need to lift heavy weights, and it's not to lose weight. It's just to get the circulation, the blood flow, yada, yada. So what my app is it has those in categories. So we have a category for detox, hormones, nutrition, like low tox products to eliminate endocrine disruptors and chemicals. I don't know, the list goes on. But there's also like a 90-day protocol where you can walk yourself through that. And it's not like, don't eat sugar, do a cleanse for 90 days, blah, blah, blah. Like it's a 90-day challenge for you to build these healthy habits. Like it's, you know, pick a day to meal prep, or, you know, if you're eating McDonald's 5 days a week, try doing 4 days a week next week, and then the next week 3 weeks. So it's kind of to guide you to build these healthy habits. And there's videos too. So there's worksheets, there's videos of me talking through everything about seed oils, pesticides, tap water, like all these things that you see on Instagram. I'm like, okay, this is what I saw on Instagram today. Let's debunk it. This is my views on it. I've done a bunch of reading in books, articles, courses. Like, this is what I feel like the general consensus is of what we should really be doing. And so the app, to sum it up, is just what I want people to know about what's fake and what's real online, just by using common sense, what the human body actually needs. Like, do you need to be on carnivore? Do you need to be on vegetarian? Surprise, just eat what makes you feel good, you know? And it's like how to read food labels, how to grocery shop. Like, it's basically like how to do these non-negotiables, how to operate at a baseline with daily habits for dummies. Because this was me like years ago. It's like, read food labels, and people are like, what? I don't even know what that means. And so it's just making everything digestible and easy to understand with like a realistic capacity, rather than like a crazy protocol or crazy something that once you're done with it, you just go straight back to your habits. These are habits that you want to learn. And I always tell people, like, I want you to know as much as me. I don't want there to be like, I'm an esthetician, I took this course, so like listen to me. I'm like, here's the information, digest it, and then listen to your body. But like, you should know this common sense and information that it's not so common. So it's self-guided. I have different tiers where you can just join the app and be a part of it, of the community. And then my second tier is where I start working with virtual people, messaging about skincare and stuff like that. And then the third tier is we do monthly calls and really like set the goals and lock in with skincare as well. But it's mainly like, I hold your hand through, okay, let's make a grocery list together, or go here and get lab testing. Like, where do we need to start? I meet people where they're at in order to get them on track. But yeah, that's kind of a lot of information on the app, but it just kind of was like a passion project with my virtuals, where I was like, I need you guys to like know all this information when I work with you, because there's so many missing pieces. Like, oh, you have a perfect diet, maybe your stomach acid is low, and that's why you're not absorbing the nutrients. Like, I just want women to feel empowered to know this information and not rely on me or their doctors who say they're fine and they have these horrible symptoms. Like, I give them resources to educate themselves and actually feel confident to trust their bodies again, rather than like, this influencer said this, but this one said that. And it's like they're living in fear and anxiety and panic because social media is capitalizing off of weight gain, acne, hair loss, infertility, like all these things, when it's like we have it in ourselves to like start at least a foundation. You know, I'm not saying like doctors and all that, you don't need them, but the foundation. If you say you have gut issues, you go to a naturopath and spend $10,000 and they give you a gut protocol, but you still eat McDonald's every day. Like, pull back a little, set the foundation, and then go to the next step, you know?
Yep, totally. I think that's amazing. I think it's very needed, especially now with all of this noise in the social landscape. So I think it's incredible. Everyone should go download it and check it out. And yeah, thank you, Elle. Tell everyone where to find you on Instagram if they want to book with you. Plug yourself.
Yeah, so my Instagram is The Look Skin and Wellness, and my website is thelookskinandwellness.com. And then everything is on there that we talked about, like app, facials, hair scan, skincare, everything you need. You'll be able to get a hold of me there. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Yay, this is so great. All right. Thank you, Elle. And
Thank you.
We'll see everybody next time.